My name is Arlo Gresham. I'm 68 years old, a retired piano teacher, and the youngest of 4 brothers in a family that never made room for the quiet one. While they built careers in finance, law, and pharmaceuticals, I stayed behind to tend the garden, restore the house, and raise my only son when my wife got sick. They called me the sentimental one, the soft one, the man who never left Beacon Ridge. Maybe they were right, but what they never saw, what even Todd never saw, was what I'd been preparing for all along. Now the house is gone, the locks are changed, and the son I trusted just served me my eviction. But the real eviction is the one they never saw coming. Todd said it with his mouth full of oatmeal. "Dad, it's time you found your own place." Not cruel, not angry, just cold, like a bank teller declining a loan. Elle didn't say a word. She sat across the table, tapping her perfect nails against her smoothie glass, like a clock counting down. When she finally looked at me, it wasn't with contempt, it was with indifference, as if I'd already disappeared. My coffee stayed hot, my hands didn't shake. I nodded once and said, "Okay." Elle blinked. Todd looked relieved. They thought that was it, that I would take the hint and fade like wallpaper in a guest room. I walked upstairs, closed the door behind me, sat on the edge of my bed. Then I opened the drawer under the bed frame and pulled out the folder I'd hidden there 5 years ago. Taped inside the front cover was a single Post-it note. "Don't sign anything under grief. Grief is clever. It makes you compliant." I signed the transfer papers after my wife died. Todd said it would save us a fortune in estate taxes. I believed him. He believed I was too weak to check. By 3:00 p.m., I'd packed 1 duffel bag, 1 change of clothes, the safe deposit box key. The house creaked as I moved. She always did. Like she hated goodbyes. I paused at the bottom. Step. Elle was on the phone, laughing about guest linens. Todd was typing something into his laptop, probably changing the Wi-Fi password again. I walked out without a word. The motel was a strip of gray concrete off I-95. No one looked up. I paid in cash. Room 207. I bolted the door, sat on the bed, pulled out the burner phone I'd kept in the piano bench. No voicemails. 1 text. Bank draft processed. Account hold requested. Locks scheduled 7 p.m. I sent 1 reply. Confirmed. They didn't call until 9:42 p.m. The first ring went unanswered. Second one too. Third ring. Voicemail from Todd. His voice rising. "Dad, what's going on? Why won't the door open? Did you change the locks?" I didn't answer. Sometimes silence says it best. By midnight, I was parked a block away from the house, just watching. Elle was pacing the driveway. Todd was banging on the front door. The porch lights were out. The security panel beeped every time they tried a wrong code. That panel didn't belong to them anymore. I'd filed the revocation of transfer 3 weeks earlier, quietly, legally. Elle never noticed the letterhead on the lawyer's desk. Todd never checked the fine print. And the account freeze? Temporary, but enough to make things very uncomfortable. Somewhere in that house, in the upstairs closet, is a fireproof box. Inside, my wife's notarized will. The one Elle tried to replace with her digital copy. Too bad they never found the original. A cold wind lifted the edge of my coat. "You give people everything," I whispered. "And they still want the lock." My fingers clenched the car key. If they thought I was done, they should have checked the locks first. The locksmith didn't look up when Todd asked again. "We live here," Todd said, firmer this time. "I'm the owner. This is my house." The guy scanned the screen on his tablet, chewed his gum. "Sorry, sir. The deed shows otherwise. Lock was changed under emergency revocation order. Owner of record, Arlo Gresham." Elle's face didn't move, but her jaw clenched, just slightly. Enough for Todd to notice. Enough for him to feel stupid. "I don't understand," he said. "He transferred everything to me 2 years ago." Guess he changed his mind. The tablet beeped. Signature confirmed. Code valid. Job closed. The locksmith walked off without another word. Room 207 smelled like bleach and dust. The wallpaper peeled at the corners like dead skin. I didn't mind. Ugly places keep quiet. I had the burner phone in one hand, the folder on the bed, a cup of motel coffee. Black, bitter, honest. Trust is a currency. Once it's counterfeit, you never spend it. The same way again. My name wasn't on the bank account anymore, or the health insurance, or the utilities. Even the piano studio, my pride and sweat, had been redirected under Todd's LLC 6 months ago. Elle filed the paperwork. She was always good with forms. She liked structure, control. I opened the laptop, VPN on, logged into the county records database, searched for the house. There it was. Property ID 384KN52. Owner Arlo Gresham, transfer voided via legal override. Filed by Pierce and Danton LLP. 3 weeks ago. The twist in this story? I hadn't hired them. A knock at the door. One soft, two sharp. I closed the laptop, slid the burner under the pillow, hand on the drawer. The man outside looked like retirement, except for the eyes. Eyes still working. He lifted a badge. "Lucinda Crane sent me," he said. "She said you'd want answers." Crane's office was above a bodega on Wickham Street, the kind of place where receipts never line up. She sat behind a desk piled with manila folders, chain-smoking Marlboros, lip liner bleeding at the corners. "You sure took your damn time," she said. "I thought you retired." I did. Then I saw whose signature they forged. She pulled out a scanned deed, side by side with the one I remembered signing. Subtle difference. One letter in my middle name curled the wrong way. My wife used to tease me for that. "Not your hand," she said, "but someone paid me under your name to notarize it." I turned them down. They forged it anyway. "Who?" She lit another cigarette. She said her name was Elle, but that wasn't what came up on the ID chip when she flashed her watch. Different name, Lorraine Vexley. Outside, the wind cut harder. I stepped into the car, flipped open the burner, one new text. Unknown number. "Ask Elle about Raven Hollow." I stared at it. Heart rate rising. That name hadn't passed my lips in 40 years. Not since my wife locked the gate on that house and swore we'd never speak of it again. My breath fogged the windshield. I never heard the engine behind me, just the flash of headlights. Then the black SUV swung across both lanes. A hard cut, no license plate. I yanked the wheel. Tires screamed. Metal scraped curb. The back window exploded as something hit it. Something fast, like a rock or a bullet or worse. I didn't check, just drove. Left turn, right, through red lights. The SUV stayed close, no headlights now, just the hum behind me. Steady like breath in a dark room. I swerved into an alley, killed the lights, opened the door before the car stopped moving. Ran. Boots slapping wet pavement, breath loud in my ears. That whisper in my head repeating, "She knows." Behind the dumpster, cracked brick, oil puddles shining like ink. Footsteps, close, heavy. I reached for the iron bar I'd grabbed from Crane's place. Cold, rough, waited. The man came around the corner. Black jacket, tactical. Gloves, face covered. He didn't speak. I didn't wait. Swung hard, metal on bone, a grunt. He went down, got up, came again. This time I drove the bar into his leg. He buckled, didn't scream, just looked at me with eyes that said, "You were never supposed to fight back." I ran again. I ditched the car at the edge of Morton's Lake, watched it sink slow. Taillights vanished like dying eyes. Burner in one pocket, folder in the other. Then I walked. For hours. No headlights, no roads, just trees, just breath, just silence. They didn't just steal from me. They erased me. Raven Hollow wasn't on any GPS. I drove north before dawn, no music, no phone, just the hum of wet tires and the memory of my wife's voice saying, "We don't go back there, Arlo, ever." The house stood on a cliffside, 30 minutes past the last paved road, behind a locked iron gate and a rusted chain-link fence strangled by vines. I cut the padlock with bolt cutters I'd borrowed from a hardware store and parked under the pine trees. Fog hugged the ground. My boots crushed dead needles. The air smelled like ash and old rain. Every step forward felt like walking through a secret someone else tried to bury. The front door groaned when it opened. Inside, the place was a frozen memory. Dust frozen midair. Furniture covered in white sheets, like ghosts sitting in silence. Third room on the left, behind the piano. That's where she said she left it. I pulled the sheet off the Baldwin. Cracked wood. Still upright. Still heavy. The wall behind it was hollow. One push, and it gave. A panel snapped open. Inside, a steel fireproof safe. Old school combination. I knew the numbers. My wife's birthday. Our anniversary. The year her mother died. Click, Turn, open. Inside, a brown envelope, a USB, and a photograph that didn't belong to me. L, younger, teenager, hair darker, eyes the same. Next to her, my wife, smiling, arms around each other like family. I sat on the floor, opened the envelope, documents, legal, civil suit files, dated 1979, filed by my father, against a woman named Delilah Vexley, L's mother. The charge? Financial fraud, defamation, mental instability. My father won. Delilah lost everything. The house, custody, reputation. And now, decades later, I whispered it out loud. She married my son to burn it all down. I plugged the USB into my laptop. The screen flickered. A video loaded. My wife, sitting in the old kitchen, her voice shaking. If you're watching this, Arlo, it means I never told you about Elle, about Delilah, about what they planned. Static. Then her eyes sharpened. She's not in love with Todd. She's in love with revenge. And she's patient. My hands clenched. She asked questions about the house, the trust, the insurance. She said it was for Todd's future, but it wasn't. Static. She found the will, the real one. I made a copy. I hid it. Don't let her win. The screen went black. Something clicked. Not in my mind. In the hallway. Boot on wood. I moved. Shut the laptop. Slid it into my bag. Grabbed the envelope, the USB. Turned toward the front door. The window shattered. Explosion. Heat. White. Then nothing. I landed hard. Head slammed wood. Ears ringing. Flames curled up the wallpaper. The ceiling groaned. Smoke. I rolled, crawled, coughing, out the hallway, over a broken door, onto the grass, breath sawing in my chest. The house roared behind me. Glass popped. Fire climbed. Someone stood. Across the yard, tall, black jacket, watching. I couldn't see their face. They turned, disappeared into the trees. I ran, forest swallowing me, backpack thudding, lungs burning, mind on fire. People think time heals. My wife once said, but all time does is sharpen the blade. She was right. This wasn't about the house. This was blood. This was debt. And she was collecting. When I made it back to the highway, the sky was orange. Smoke followed behind like a shadow. I pulled out the photograph. Elle and Delilah. One circle drawn in red ink. Name underneath. Lorraine Vexley. This isn't about me anymore. This is war. Her estate was wrapped in trees and silence. The kind of silence that watches you back. I parked 2 blocks away and walked through the woods, keeping to the shadows. Every step snapped a twig. Every twig felt like a flare. The gate was electric. Keypad, retina scanner, small camera tucked inside a fake birdhouse. I rang once. Nothing. Rang again. Then a voice, low and dry. State your reason or turn around. I'm looking for Lorraine Vexley. A pause. Another click. Then the gate creaked open, just enough to let one body through. The driveway twisted for half a mile. Cameras dotted the trees. Some moved. The house itself was brutalist steel and glass, cold angles, tinted panels. No welcome mat. The door opened before I knocked. She was taller than I expected, gray hair slicked back, gun holstered at her hip like a bracelet, eyes sharp, lips flat. You look like your wife, she said, except she never begged. I'm not here to beg. Then, talk. We sat in a room with no clocks, no family photos, just shelves of unmarked books and a single vase of dead orchids. I dropped the photo of Elle and my wife on the table. You knew. I knew Delilah. She raised a daughter to infiltrate my family. She smirked. She didn't infiltrate. You invited her in. I stared at her. You helped her. You funded this. Lorraine didn't blink. I funded the concept. Revenge is currency. But Elle took it too far. I slid the envelope across. Elle forged documents, laundered assets, married my son for access. She didn't marry him for love, Arlo. She married him for legacy. Yours. She stood, crossed to a locked drawer, unlatched it, dropped a file folder on the table, heavy. Inside, spreadsheets, IP logs, email threads, Elle under different names, Eva Martin, Elle Vexley, Elise Monroe, connected to real estate scams in 5 states, fraudulent power of attorney forms, synthetic IDs, deep-faked videos. She's done this before, Lorraine said. But you were the endgame. Why? Because you're the last name on the will, the last tie to what her mother lost, and because sentiment is a weakness she knew how to exploit. I opened a document, a digital notarization record, Elle signing as me, on my house, on my life insurance. She used my own signature against me. That's what good predators do, Lorraine said. They watch you long enough to imitate you. We didn't hear the SUV until it was in the driveway. Lorraine looked at the camera feed. One man, tactical gear. Hoodie pulled low. Not mine, she said. We moved. She shoved a revolver in my hand. Don't shoot unless you see eyes. We ducked through the greenhouse. Mist rose from the floor like ghosts. He came in through the side window. Silent. Quick. I caught his shadow. Swung the metal pipe hanging near the door. It hit his shoulder. He'd stumbled back. I followed through. Another hit. He grunted. Turned. I saw his eyes. Not rage. Not fear. Professional detachment. That scared me more. Lorraine fired once. He dropped. Not dead. She tied his hands. Took his burner. Give it 10 minutes, she said. Police won't come. He's freelance. I looked at the photo again. Elle smiling. She erased me, I said. No, Lorraine corrected. She replaced you. As I left, Lorraine handed me a business card. Blank front. Back read. If she made you disappear, make her visible. The road away from the house was empty. Too empty. Every car behind me slowed when I turned. Every mirror showed the same shape, one lane back. I stopped at a rest area, switched cars, swapped plates, started driving again. I opened my phone, one new text. From an anonymous number, it was a video still. A man, Todd, slumped behind a steering wheel. Blood on his collar, a woman's hand reaching from the back seat. Caption, tell the truth and he's next. She's not just erasing my life, she's framing me for ending hers. I slept in the basement of a church that didn't ask questions. The cot creaked. The cross on the wall watched. I didn't pray. I listened. Wind pipes. Breathing that wasn't mine. Paranoia isn't always a lie. Sometimes it's instinct catching up. I cracked open the laptop. Plugged in the USB from Raven Hollow. One last folder. Encrypted. Password protected. I tried the obvious. My wife's maiden name. The street we met on Todd's birthday. Nothing. Then I typed, forgive me. The screen blinked. Opened. Video. My wife. Again. Older now. Sicker. She sat in the same kitchen, this time with an oxygen tube in her nose. Arlo, she said. If you're seeing this, then she got close. I leaned forward. She found the will, the first one. I wrote another. I never told you. I filed it with Harlan. Pause. She coughed. Elle's not who she says she is. She never was. I think Todd suspects, but she's good at covering her tracks. Long silence. Then, soft. You always thought love was enough. It isn't. Not when they're playing a different game. Screen went black. I drove straight to Harlan's office. Back road. Hoodie up. Harlan Pierce had been my friend for 40 years. Wrote my first lease. Buried my wife's assets. He looked up from his desk. Didn't smile. I was wondering when you'd show. You still have it? He opened a drawer. Pulled out a folder. Signed, notarized, filed under a private clause. Your wife left it with me the day before the transfer. I stared at the paper. Clean, sharp, final, the second will. Clause 17. Any transfer done under duress, fraud, or coercion voids all asset movement posthumously. She knew. I whispered. She always did. We moved fast. Emergency petition, county clerk. Filing window open for 15 minutes before close. Once it hits the record, Harlan said, she won't be able to sell the house. Auction or not. I handed him the USB. This too. He looked at me. You sure? I want everything exposed. Cut 2. L. Standing on the porch of my house. Auction banners. Press. Guests with champagne flutes. She looked untouchable, controlled, beautiful in that terrifying way. She raised a glass, laughed with someone in a blue suit. Flashbulbs popped. Then her phone buzzed. She looked. The color drained from her face. Meanwhile, Todd texted me. She said if I help you, she'll release the footage. My chest went still. I texted back. What footage? No answer. I accessed the server Lorraine helped me find. L's backup, encrypted cloud, hacked in. One folder, one video. I clicked. Todd, younger, behind the wheel. Night. Windshield cracked. A girl screaming in the back seat. Crash. Silence. Cut to L standing outside the car, phone in hand, recording. She smiles. Got it. I sank into the church pew. Not real. Staged. Blackmail. She filmed it, controlled him with it. That's why he stayed, why he lied, why he turned his back. Guilt's a leash, and she held it tight. I dressed in black, slipped into my own house during the auction, through the back door. No alarms. I knew where every camera used to be, where new ones were likely hidden. I moved through shadows, into the living room, sat on the old bench under the window, lifted the lid. The piano creaked. Inside, the original deed. My wife's handwriting still sharp. She'd hidden it there. All this time, I heard heels on the hardwood. I turned. Elle stood there, alone, gun in hand. She didn't speak right away. Then, "You're ruining everything." "No," I said. "I'm restoring it." "I warned you, Arlo." "Then pull the trigger, Elle, and bury everything with me." The sky cracked open with thunder as the auction tent snapped under the wind. People screamed. Champagne flutes shattered on marble steps. Someone yelled, "Call the police!" But no one moved because Elle wasn't running anymore. She was dragging me through the front door at gunpoint. Rain soaked us both, her lipstick running, hair stuck to her cheek like wet silk. Her eyes didn't blink. Not once. "I'm not losing this house," she hissed. "Not after everything I built." "You didn't build it," I said. "You stole the blueprint and signed it in my blood." She shoved me against the wall. The muzzle touched my chest. "Say one more thing." Footsteps. Todd. He stepped inside, hands raised. "No more lies, Elle." His voice shook. She didn't turn. "You're weak," she said. "You always were." Todd held something in his hand. A phone. Playing a video. Her voice. On tape. From years ago. "Got it," she'd said. "We'll use it if he ever steps out of line." The crash. The staged blood. Gasps filled the hallway. Neighbors, guests, reporters, filming now. Live? Elle turned. "No," she whispered. "You destroyed Mom," Todd said. "Now you want to destroy him too?" She looked back at me. Gun lowered an inch. Then, police lights strobed through the windows. Sirens screamed. Elle bolted for the side exit. I followed. The yard was mud and broken heels. She slipped, regained balance, ran toward the car. I cut across the garden, breath burning in my throat. She fumbled the keys. Nothing, because I'd already removed the ignition fuse 2 hours ago. She slammed her fists against the window. The moment held, like glass under pressure. Then blue lights swallowed her whole. She was face down on the lawn when they cuffed her. Her screams weren't words. They were endings. They tried to apologize. The guests, the press, even the police. But apologies are Band-Aids on bullet wounds. Todd came to me last. "I didn't know how to stop her," he said. "I didn't ask you to." He looked smaller, worn, like something inside him had cracked and wasn't going to heal right. "I thought she loved me," he whispered. "No one who loves you builds a leash." He didn't cry, but his hands wouldn't stop shaking. I stood alone in the foyer the next morning. Everything was still. The piano sat where it always had, quiet, waiting. I walked to the safe behind the wall, opened it. Inside was the deed, the will, the truth. I took it out, placed it on the dining table, and I burned it. All of it. Sometimes justice doesn't mean holding on. It means letting go in public. 3 weeks later, I signed the final transfer. The house wouldn't be mine. It would become a safe home for battered women and children escaping manipulation. I left my wife's name on the gate, not mine, because love doesn't always end in blood. Sometimes it ends in shelter. The last thing I did before leaving Beacon Ridge was walk through the front door. New key, new lock. I paused in the hallway, took one last breath, because everything that had tried to break me had failed to bury me. They changed the locks, but not for me, for everyone who thought I'd never fight back.